Hey, how's everybody doing? Give me 1 second. Alright, that's how you do it. I want to tell a story real quick. 2 different lives, comparing them together to make a point. I want to talk about Alexander the Great, and then I want to talk about Julius Caesar. So Alexander the Great, he was the son of a king, right? Took on an empire, and he was very, very interested in expanding that empire through conquest, right? That's what they did back in the day. They were trying to take over as much land to civilize as much of the uncivilized worlds as possible, and everybody thought they were the civilized ones, right? And that's just how it was. But all the intentions were good. Now, Alexander was incredibly successful from a very young age. He was a very bold, very courageous, very confident young man, very intelligent, very divinely inspired. You know, but if you listen to some of his speeches, like I think it's called magnum opus. No, it's the one where all of his the mutiny. He gave a speech at I think it's called the Mutiny of Opus. But anyway, it's his speech of what he said to his men when they started mutinying against him, and it kind of gives you some insight into his character. Yeah, he was something else. But you see, Alexander the Great, he got sick and he died when he was 32. Okay, 32. He really, really went strong, and then he faded out. Right, he died. Now Julius Caesar, he, you know, everybody, all these characters are immortalized at this point, right? And so you could say that Julius Caesar, you know, he had a very, what would you say, fulfilling younger life, you know, from being exiled by Sulla to getting kidnapped by pirates and then, you know, crucifying him and everything. But I mean, the truth really is that if you could look at the entirety of his story, the beginning of his life really, before he was 33 years old, before that fated moment that they talk about where he starts crying looking at the statue of Alexander the Great, and he says Alexander at this point in his life had already conquered half the known world, and I have done nothing, right? It's an epic moment. But you see, the impact that Julius Caesar left, because his life was one that built up to something, was a lot more impactful than Alexander's. Yeah, Alexander's was definitely impactful, but not in the way that Julius Caesar's was, simply because of time. People need time, you know? When all of that fire is coming from the inside, it can get reckless, you know? It needs time to learn how to burn with the wood. You know what I mean? And wait for more wood to be put on the fire, you know, rather than just burning it all up and then hoping people chop down more for you. I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic. What do you think? Leave it in the comments.